The invention that stuck. The year was 1933, and deep inside a laboratory at the Dow Chemical Company, a young lab worker named Ralph Wiley was growing increasingly frustrated. His job was straightforward but tedious. Wash and prepare the glass beakers and flasks that chemists use for their experiments. But one day, as he scrubbed away at a particularly stubborn residue, he realized something strange. This substance simply would not come off. No matter how much he soaked the beaker, no matter how hard he scraped at it, the stubborn film remained. It was thin, almost invisible, but it clung to the glass with a tenacity that defied every cleaning method he had. Wiley tried everything: stronger solvents, heat, even chipping away at it with a blade, but nothing worked. It was as if the glass itself had grown a second transparent skin. Most lab assistants might have dismissed it as a mistake, an anomaly, and moved on. But Wiley was different. He wasn't just a cleaner. He was a curious mind in a room full of discoveries waiting to happen. So instead of throwing the contaminated glassware aside, he decided to investigate. He managed to peel a small section of the substance away from the glass. It was oddly flexible, yet strong, almost rubbery, but much thinner. He stretched it between his fingers, watching how it clung to itself, forming a tight, nearly airtight seal. Excited, Wiley brought his discovery to the head chemists at Dow, and soon the team realized that this wasn't just some random lab contamination. It was an entirely new polymer. The substance turned out to be polyvinyl chloride, or PVDC, a byproduct of chemical experiments that no one had paid much attention to before. At first, Dow wasn't sure what to do with this unexpected discovery. The world was in the grips of the Great Depression, and practical applications for new materials were limited. But when World War II broke out, the military took a sudden interest in PVDC. The compound had a remarkable resistance to water, chemicals, and even air. This made it perfect for coating military equipment, especially aircraft. Planes that flew through rain and storms could benefit from an added layer of protection that prevented corrosion. The U.S. military quickly adopted it, using it to create a special rain-resistant fabric that kept soldiers dry on the battlefield. For years, this new material served as an unseen protector, shielding both soldiers and machines from the elements. But when the war ended, demand for PVDC dropped dramatically. Dow had warehouses full of the material and no military contracts to sustain its production. This left Dow with a dilemma. What could they do with this unique material now that the battlefield no longer needed it? As researchers brainstormed, they noticed something peculiar about PVDC. It had an incredible ability to create an airtight seal. It clung effortlessly to itself and to surfaces, forming a protective barrier against moisture and air. One scientist, perhaps while packing away leftover lunch, had a realization. What if this wasn't meant for military defense at all? What if it belonged in every household in America? After years of testing and refinement, the material was made thinner, more transparent, and easier to use. By the 1950s, it hit the shelves under a brand name that would become a household staple. Housewives, chefs, and food companies alike marveled at this miraculous film that could keep leftovers fresh, preserve ingredients, and prevent spoilage. And that, quite by accident, is how Saran Wrap came to be. This has been Some Guy's Podcast. I'm some guy named Guy, wishing you and yours nothing but the very best. I want you to know that I truly appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to tune in and listen. So thank you, and I hope you will join me next time on Some Guy's Podcast.